bitches and bitchettes, welcome back to another episode of Cursage Gaming. This week, we do a The Sopranos Road to Respect creepypasta called The Gabagool Waker. Now before I'm gonna read this creepypasta, I'm gonna do it word for word. I like to Nintendo switch it up, here and there. So yeah, let's begin. The Sopranos Road to Respect. It was the first VidJ game that I ever played, but I gave up on it when I got to the Night Horse Casino and never played the game since. Unfortunately for me, I lost the game after I was arrested due to Mad Kush possession. But about 20 years in the can ago, I thought I should give it a try. So I went to my local EB Games, but they didn't have it. They did, however, have Call of Duty Advanced Warfare for the Xbox One.
Whoa.
But all I have is my PS2 and Call of Duty Finest Hour. No, I'm not broke, I'm something of a purist, and the fact that they didn't have a copy of The Sopranos Road to Respect made me severely depressed, because I went to every store that sells games and they all say they don't have it. Which really fucking sucks. This game was one of my childhood favorites and it means a ton to me. The sadness of this revelation is unbearable and I feel as if I no longer have any will to live. If these walls could talk, they'd probably still ignore me. Then about a week ago or so later, me and my pa went to a local garage sale, 666 hours away from our house. While he was out looking for junk scrap metal, sprockets, elbow grease, and Mary Jane, I went to the miniature human beings section, and then I saw it. A black box with a label saying, The Gabagool Waker. I quickly grabbed it, popped the box open, and examined the disc. It had a small piece of scratch paper torn from a scrapbook where the instruction manual would normally be. And in the slot where a disc would be contained was that disc. The only disc I'd ever need. There it was, shining brightly as the sun reflected its glare into my vision from the pristine edges of the disc like an angel's halo. The Sopranos Road to Respect. Fuck yes! I finally found this masterpiece. Just as beautiful as the day I lost it. I quickly hobbled over to the person selling it like a paraplegic gremlin on crack and asked how many asked how many shekels I'd have to give him for the brilliantly designed and well-received PS2 classic hit. He said, "Please take it, please. I'll give it to you for free." "I do not want this. I can't handle this anymore. It's too much." That made me a teensy-weensy little bit skeptical, mayhaps, but I didn't really care, so I took his offer. Perchance. You can't just say. When we made it back to the echo chamber, I ran over to my PS2. Full on fucking ran, dude. I needed to play this game so bad. When I finally made it to my PS2, I ran for about 90 kilometers. I inserted the disc into my trusty game console and fired that bitch up. I got a nostalgic feeling in my booty hole when it booted up. It's game time. When I got to the title screen, I noticed a couple of three things that were off. First off, there wasn't any Woke Up This Morning by Alabama 3 BGM or New Jersey Traffic. Secondly, the sky was African American. And lastly, the creepiest, most disturbing gaming thing ever, the title said The Gabagool Waker. There was also an image of Tony Soprano in the background with hyper-realistic rojo pinpoint pupils and red oil dripping from his eye sockets. He also appeared to be showing how the prick's face looks when you saw the gat. It made me wonder, did the guys get hacked or something? And on a serious note, has anyone ever actually modded The Sopranos Road to Respect? I don't fucking know, dude, why are you asking me for? But I wanted to play, so I pressed the start button. Everything was fine until I got to the part where Tony's sister Janice gets kidnapped. Tony was to jump, and Carmela would catch him, but she didn't. Tony fell, and right before he hit the rock, the screen cut to a negro y azul gradient for 33.333 million milliseconds. Then I was at the scene where you meet the ghost of Bompensiero, except he was dressed in a red and black skin-tight devil costume, while also wearing a headband with bright red, long, and sharp devil horns and had an evil, scary grin, long, skinny, villainous beard and mustache, and a red, long, pointy, four-pronged pitchfork with a fat piece of gabagool stuck on the end of it. He spoke to Tony and said, "Hey, Tone, I'm real sorry for what happened to me. This thing of ours. You and your sister. I'm the ghost of Bompensiero." Then I noticed Tony. His clothes were black, his skin as hyper-realistically pale as the hyper-realistic moon, and he seemed exceedingly depressed. Default expression? He continued, You must make that bitch that killed you pay, and that bird too. Take this instrument of death, and make them suffer. Then I got the Gabagool waker. There was no description. Then he said he needs a spliff to whiff. I went out and saw it was nighttime, but it was pitch African American with no stars. I noticed the NPCs were looking at me seductively yet strangely, like they were scared and horny. I tried to talk to them, but they would say nothing, yell and run away, or cream their undies. I went to the salesman with enough moolah, but he wouldn't sell it to me. I couldn't use the waker for whatever reason. I targeted the salesman, and then I could use it, so I did. Then the screen went African American, and I heard a scream. It said I got the spliff, but whenever I looked at the salesman, his head was on the table. Dead? Space. I scream about what happened, then go back to playing. I left most of this unedited because I have no idea how to turn this dead robotic sounding text into something funny. Period. I was confused about what happened, and so I tried on children. I went to African American and I heard screams. Then their screams became that of a cacophony of meows and barks from the sky, raining cats and dogs. Next they were laying on the ground with African American eyes with tears of red oil. There were also various cats and dogs strewn about the land, not in a particularly gruesome or disturbing way, just kind of there looking healthy and happy. As sick, twisted, and disgusting as it was, I continued to play. I went back to Big Puss, gave him the spliff, and watched as he inhaled that shit in one quick pull. After letting out some fat fucking clouds and ascended to Sirius B, he said to go to the location marked on the map. He then turned 180 degrees in a quick motion like a marching soldier, bent over and spontaneously shit out a 1964 Chevrolet Impala for me to drive. While I was cruising down the street in my 6'4", I noticed something a bit cursaged, haunted, and possibly even creepy. Tony seemed happy after what happened. When I got to the location, I noticed it was Tony's boat. This was the same spot where Big Puss Bump and Sierra got wiggity whacked. When I got on board, the crew began to try to kill me, but Tony used the Gabagool waker to kill them all. What I saw next was Horrid Henry. Everyone was killed in a sick and twisted gaming way. One had his eyes cut out and his ball sacks cut off, with his ball sacks in his eye holes and his eyeballs in his ball sacks. Another was on fire with his arms, teeth, fingers, and toes missing, and the others were even worse. It was so bad, I can't even describe it. Then Carmela came to see what was going on. In a cutscene, Tony used the Gabagool waker and went to African American. Then I saw Carmela ripped in a bunch of tiny scraps of paper pieces, and Tony kneeling over her two-dimensional dead corpse cadaver remnants. Then a message block said, "I got Carmela's gat." When I got back to the whip, the ghost of Bump and Sierra said, "Well done, Tone. Now we must go to the bird." So I went to the Night Horse Casino, curious to see who this bird could be. After getting into a dangerous and life-threatening car wreck, I was sent to the bird boss battle, realizing that bird was actually an alias for Christopher Moltisanti, maybe due to that goddamn natural canopy of a nose. He was also wearing big chicken feet like shoes and was covered in glue and feathers, and had a red face with Tony's fingers clutching his nose. It was a gory mess. There was blood everywhere and even on Tony. Then his sister came and said, I slightly dislike you. You killed all those people in the big bird, you." Then to my surprise, Tony used the Gabagool waker again. Janice screamed, then fell. Tony turned his head 720 degrees with an evil grin and said, "They're all dead. Game over." It went to African American, then a message box popped up saying, "You're next." To my horror, Tony's began to walk to my screen slowly and laughing. I tried to turn off my PS2, but it wouldn't work. I tried turning off my TV, same thing. Then he got to the screen, and he screamed, and then the screen went off. Just when I thought the horrifying, creepy gaming experience was over with, I felt a deep, dark disturbance in the dank, despair-riddled disc. Suddenly, my TV powered on, staying on a blue, yellow, pink, whatever, static screen for about 60 years. In all that time passing, not once did I decide to get up. Nothing else mattered in my life at all during those 60 years, just the static. Once it finally subsided, and once my life flashed before my eyes and I lost all meaning, practically flushing my life down the drain, the picture faded in. I immediately saw a shut closet, but the door slid open and I saw the face of Uncle Philly my ass, Leotardo. He walked forward, and with each step he took, the volume bar on my TV would increase by 1 notch. Once he approached the camera for the extreme close-up, he said in a loud, booming, thunderous voice,
"You're a fucking disgrace."
He then whipped out a chrome-plated M1911 and pointed it directly in front of Tony Soprano. The camera then cut to the face of Tony Soprano, in utter shock at the gat pointed between his eyes. His face looked just like this. That experience scarred me deep. I went back to the guy's house, but when I got there, I saw an old rickety piece of shit house. A man that owned the local chicken restaurant walked up to me in a humble manner and politely told me that no one has lived there for years. I went back home, got the game and It Is case, and buried it in my backyard. After playing it again after all these years, who would have known that my beloved Sopranos PS2 game from yesteryear was in actuality a turd encrusted in silver?
Wait, it's made out of silver? How much can I get for this?
Okay, first off, this creepypasta wasn't the dankest. But it wasn't absolutely dripping in anal greasage either. And I think it had some shit going for it. But in the end, it wasn't exactly the bestest. Now, this creepypasta is full of cliches and, in a way, derives from Skylar the Haunted Call of Duty Ghost cartridge, with the Gabagool Waker item. First off, the cliches. The player buys a game at a garage sale, and the person willingly gives it away for free. I mean, seriously, just count the cliches here. What other ways could the player have received the gamey, other than the garage sale idea? I don't know. A present for their 50th birthday? Parents buying the game for the player for getting a good meth purity? I mean, enough with the garage sales. And if a person really wanted to give the game for free away like that, why did they even put it in this garage or yard sale? Why not just shove it up your ass? Or if you really didn't want it, or actually have the intention of selling the gamey, that's really the kind of fuck shit that grinds my gears 5 about the cliches. But moving on to this Gabagool Waker item. The Gabagool Waker, in my opinion, can't speak, really seems like the special double triple bossy deluxe on a raft, 4x4 animal style, extra shingles with a shimmy and a squeeze, light axle grease, make it cry, burn it and let it swim, from Skylar the Haunted Call of Duty Ghost cartridge, in that it fucks anyone that it's used upon. In this case, the salesman, children, and Carmela's crewmates. Again, the item is really derivative of that one move, but I honestly believe it could have been more arousing and even more dick-hardening if the Gabagool Waker had just been this worthless fucking piece of shit from the beginning, doing abso-fucking-lutely jack shit, but just starting to get progressively more and more worser, in terms of how brutal lethality would be, or who it would murk. And like every time it would get more and more immaculate, it would make Tone much more badder. This again would have made the ending a lot better than the Many Saints of Newark's ending, since T would only have attacked, or rather moaned at the player, because of their own actions in the gamey. What do you think about the item, and what would you have changed in this creepypasta, and what would you even rate it? In the end, I believe this is a booty hole tickling creepypasta, but it definitely needs some more seasoning. Links are in the description below. This has been another episode of Cursage Gaming, and if you like what you saw, make sure to like, comment, and stick your dick into that subscribe button's pussy hole. This is me, Skelodevil from Skelodevil601, and I'm out for another 2 to 3 years.